Jake Morrison walked into the giant hall where the most powerful beings in the galaxy made their laws. His black suit looked simple next to the strange forms around him. Some aliens floated in balls of light. Others looked like giant insects, with too many legs. A few were just clouds of gas that somehow talked. Jake had been Earth's top speaker for 3 years now. 3 long years of hearing the same demands over and over. Pay more money, give up more land, follow more rules. Now they wanted something that made his blood boil. The Zephyrian Chancellor hung in the air like a bright star trapped in a metal cage. Its voice came from everywhere at once when it spoke. Human Morrison, your people still act like children. The galaxy has been peaceful for 10,000 years because we guide the young races. Jake stood straight and looked right at the floating light. Around him, dozens of alien races watched from their seats. The fish-like hydroni swam in their water tanks. The rock creatures from Titan Prime sat like small mountains. All of them had one thing in common. They all bowed to the council. Chancellor, Jake said in a calm voice, Earth has reviewed your latest demand. The new rule was simple and evil. Every human woman could only have one child. Every human man had to get permission to marry. The council called it population control. Jake called it what it really was. Slavery. Your people breed too fast, said the bug-like Vex leader, clicking its sharp mouthparts. You spread to new worlds like a disease. This must stop. Jake had heard this before. Humans were too violent, too unpredictable, too dangerous. The council had been saying it since the day Earth joined the galaxy 3 years ago. But Jake knew the real truth. Humans were too good at everything the council wanted to control. Human farmers grew more food than anyone else. Human miners dug deeper and faster than any other race. Human soldiers won every battle they fought. The council did not fear human violence, they feared human success. The United Earth Federation has made its decision, Jake said. His voice carried across the huge room. We reject your population laws, we reject your trade limits, we reject your mining quotas. The room went quiet. In 10,000 years, no race had ever said no to the council. The hydroni stopped swimming. The rock creatures stopped moving. Even the gas clouds seemed to pause. The Chancellor's light grew brighter. You cannot reject council law. All races must follow our guidance. Jake smiled. It was not a kind smile. Earth withdraws from all treaties with the Galactic Council. We will no longer attend these meetings. We will no longer follow your laws. We will no longer trade with council worlds. The words hit the room, like bombs. Aliens started talking all at once in dozens of languages. The translation machines could not keep up with all the noise. Jake could hear fear in every voice. You cannot leave, shouted the hegemony speaker, a tall blue woman with 4 arms. The council controls all space travel. We control all trade. Routes, your people will starve without us. Jake turned to face her. We will see about that. He started walking toward the door. Behind him, his 6 human guards followed. They wore simple gray uniforms and carried basic weapons. The aliens had always laughed at human technology. Too primitive, they said. Too simple. The Chancellor's voice boomed through the hall. If you leave this chamber, you leave forever. There will be no second chances. No mercy for your people when you fail. Jake stopped at the doorway and looked back one last time. The most powerful beings in the galaxy stared at him with fear in their strange eyes. They were afraid of 7 humans walking away. That told Jake everything he needed to know. Earth never asked for mercy, he said. We asked for respect. Since you cannot give us that, we will take our leave. The heavy doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder. Jake and his team walked down the long hallway toward their ship. Their footsteps echoed in the silence. Captain Roy Barnes waited by their small transport ship. He had been listening to everything through his radio. So we really did it? He asked. We did it, Jake said. Send the message to Earth. Operation Independence starts now. Roy pressed a button on his wrist device. Across the galaxy, every human ship, every human base, every human colony got the same message at the same time. 2 words that would change everything. Come home. Back in the council chamber, chaos ruled. The chancellor spun in its cage, sending out angry flashes of light. They cannot survive without us. No race has ever survived outside the council. But deep in the data files that only the highest council members could see, the truth was different. Humans carried 60% of all trade goods in the galaxy. They grew 40% of all food. They mined 50% of all metals. They provided 70% of all soldiers for council armies. The Vex leader clicked its mouth parts in worry. What if they really can survive alone? Impossible, said the chancellor. But its light flickered with doubt. On their ship flying back toward Earth, Jake sat in his chair and thought about what came next. The council thought humans were weak because they had never fought back before. The council thought humans were stupid because they used simple technology. The council thought humans were helpless because they had always followed orders. The council was wrong about everything. Jake opened a secret file on his computer. Inside were plans that would shock the galaxy. Weapons that could destroy stars, ships that could travel faster than light itself, technology that the council could never understand or copy. For 3 years, humans had played by council rules. They had been polite. They had been careful. They had pretended to be less than they were. But pretending time was over. The galaxy was about to learn what humans could really do when they stopped holding back. Jake almost felt sorry for the council. They had no idea what was coming. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, heading home to Earth. Behind them, the council chamber was still full of shouting aliens who did not yet understand that their 10,000-year rule was about to end. Jake Morrison smiled as he watched the stars streak past his window. The real war had not even started yet, and humans had already won the first battle. They had done it by walking away. Sometimes the best way to show your strength was to stop pretending to be weak. Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship New Frontier. Through the main window, she could see the edge of human space. Behind her, Earth and its colonies were safe. Ahead of her, the rest of the galaxy waited. "Captain," said Lieutenant Ben Clark from his computer station, "we have movement on the long-range sensors. Looks like a Zephyrian spy probe." Lisa nodded. She had been expecting this. The council would not just let humans leave without checking to see what they were doing. "How far out?" 2 million miles and closing fast. It thinks we cannot see it." Lisa almost laughed. The probe was using old stealth technology that the council thought was invisible to human sensors. They were wrong. Human technology had grown far beyond what the council knew about. "All ships, this is New Frontier," Lisa said, into her radio. "Unknown probe entering our space, response plan Alpha." Around her ship, 50 other Earth defense vessels moved into position. They did not look like much. Simple metal ships with basic weapons. The council had always made fun of human ship design. Too plain, they said. Too weak. The Zephyrian probe kept coming. Its mission was simple. Get close to human ships, record everything, and report back to the council. The pilot probably thought this would be easy. Humans had never stopped council probes before. "Probe is now 1 million miles out," Ben reported. "Still cannot see us." "Lock weapons," Lisa ordered. Weapons locked. Target acquired, Lisa thought. About the orders she had received from Earth Command. No warnings, no second chances. Any alien ship that entered human space without permission would be destroyed. The council needed to learn that humans were serious about being left alone. Fire. A single beam of blue light shot out from New Frontier. It was not like the plasma weapons that most races used. This was something new. Something that the greatest minds in the council had never seen before. The probe did not explode. It did not break apart. It simply stopped existing. 1 second, it was there, racing through space. The next second, there was nothing. Not even dust. 2,000 miles away, Zephyrian Fleet Commander Zarthek watched his screens with growing fear. His best spy probe had just vanished. Not destroyed, not damaged. Gone. What happened? He demanded from his science officer. The small gray alien at the computer station was shaking. "Sir, The energy readings make no sense. The humans fired something that erased the probe from reality itself. Sarthek had fought in 50 battles across the galaxy. He had never seen anything like this. How is that possible? I do not know, sir. Our best science says it should not work, but the probe is gone. Back on Earth, Dr. Amy Foster worked in her secret lab buried deep under the Rocky Mountains. Around her, hundreds of human scientists built weapons and ships that would shock the galaxy. They had been working in secret for 3 years, ever since the Council first started making unreasonable demands. How many more quantum disruptors do we have ready? Amy asked her assistant, Dr. Pete Rogers. 50 more should be done by tomorrow, Pete said, looking at his computer. The new factories are running at full speed. Amy smiled. Quantum disruptors were just the beginning. Her team had also built faster-than-light communications, matter transporters, and gravity weapons. While the Council had spent 10,000 years controlling old technology, humans had invented completely new science. Any word from the spy satellites? Amy asked. Council fleets are moving toward our borders, Pete reported. Looks like they want to blockade us. Amy was not worried. Let them come. They would learn the same lesson as the probe pilot. In his command center on Earth, General Nick Carter watched reports from across the galaxy. Human merchant ships were following orders and heading home. Human mining crews were packing up their equipment. Human soldiers serving in Council armies were requesting immediate transfer back to Earth. How many ships have we recalled so far? Nick asked his aide, Colonel Kate Roberts. About 60%, Kate replied. The rest should be home within a week. Nick nodded. The Council did not understand what was happening yet. They thought humans were just angry and would come back when they got hungry. They did not realize that humans had been preparing for this day for years. What about the food shipments? Nick asked. All stopped, Kate said with a grin. 17. Council worlds are already reporting food shortages. The Valorian Empire is asking for emergency supplies. Nick had to laugh. The proud Valorians had been some of the loudest voices demanding human population controls. Now they were begging for human food. The irony was perfect. On the planet Nexus Prime, home of the Galactic Council, panic was starting to spread. The giant crystal beings who ran the government had called an emergency meeting. For the first time in thousands of years, they did not know what to do. The humans cannot survive without us, insisted Chancellor Veltar, her forearms waving in anger. No race has ever left the Council and survived. But sir, said her assistant, a nervous creature that looked like a walking tree, the early dairy reports are troubling. Human ships are leaving Council space faster than we expected. Our trade routes are already showing problems. Veltar did not want to hear this. Humans are primitive. They use simple weapons and basic ships. They cannot threaten us. But in the secret files that only the highest Council members could see, a different story was emerging. Humans had been involved in almost every part of Council civilization. They carried the goods, grew the food, mined the metals, and fought. The battles that kept the galaxy running. The crystalline collective, beings made of living rock who thought at the speed of light, had done the math. Without humans, the Council would lose 30% of its economy within a month. Within a year, entire sectors of the galaxy would collapse. We need to negotiate, said the collective's speaker, its crystal body glowing with worry. No, Veltar said firmly. We do not negotiate with rebels. We crush them. Back in human space, Lisa Hayes received new orders from Earth Command. More Council ships were heading toward the border. This time it was not just spy probes. A full battle fleet was coming. Captain, Ben reported, 50 Zephyrian warships are approaching our outer marker. They are not responding to warning signals. Lisa looked at her crew. They were all young humans who had never fought a real space battle. The Council ships coming toward them were commanded by veterans with thousands of years of experience. By all logic, the humans should be terrified. Instead, Lisa saw calm confidence on every face. Her crew knew what their ships could do. They knew what their weapons could do. The Council was about to learn why humans had stopped being polite. All Ships, battle stations, Lisa ordered. Let them come close enough to see what happens to their spy probe. The Zephyrian fleet commander, Admiral Nexthera, was confident as his ships approached human space. 50 modern warships against a handful of primitive human vessels. This would be over quickly. Human ships detected, his weapons officer reported. They are not moving to attack position. Nexthera was surprised. Humans were supposed to be aggressive and violent. Why were they just sitting there? Are they surrendering? Unknown, sir. They are just waiting. Move closer. Let them see the power of a real fleet. The Zephyrian ships moved forward. As they crossed into human space, 50 human vessels suddenly appeared around them. They had been invisible, hidden by technology the Council had never seen before. Stealth fields, Lisa said calmly into her radio. Drop stealth fields. Show them what they are really facing. The Council fleet found themselves surrounded by ships that should not exist. Human vessels that looked nothing like the simple transports the Council knew about. These ships were sleek, fast, and covered with weapons that hummed with unknown energy. Admiral Nexthera stared at his screens in shock. Where did they come from? Sir, his science officer said in a shaking voice. These ships are using technology I cannot identify. Their power readings are off our charts. Impossible, humans are primitive. Not anymore, sir. Lisa opened a communication channel to the Zephyrian fleet. Her face appeared on every Council ship's main screen. She looked calm and relaxed, like she was talking to old friends. Council ships, you have entered human space without permission. You have one chance to leave. Turn around now and go home. There will be no second warning. Admiral Nexthera was furious. A human was giving orders to him, a veteran of 100 battles. Human captain, you are surrounded. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Lisa smiled. It was not a nice smile. I tried to be polite. She closed the communication channel and turned to her weapons officer. Fire a warning shot. Hit the bomb. Empty space between their ships. One quantum disruptor beam shot out from New Frontier. Where it passed, space itself seemed to bend and twist. The beam hit nothing but empty vacuum, but the effect was visible to every ship in both fleets. Reality cracked. For just a moment, the Council ships could see through the hole in space to somewhere else. Somewhere dark and cold and very far away. Then, the crack closed and everything was normal again. Admiral Nexthera and his entire fleet sat in stunned silence. They had just watched humans tear a hole in the universe itself. As a warning shot. Sir, whispered his science officer. What do we do? Nexthera looked at the human ships surrounding his fleet. He thought about the spy probe that had vanished without a trace. He thought about the hole in space he had just seen. We go home, he said quietly. The Zephyrian fleet turned around and left human. The Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never been so loud. 47 different alien races were all talking at once, their voices mixing into a wall of noise that the translation computers could barely handle. High Chancellor Veltar slammed her 4 fists on the table trying to get order. Silence, she shouted. The noise slowly died down. We will discuss this crisis in an orderly manner. But there was nothing orderly about the panic filling the room. The proud Valorian Empire was starving. Their outer colonies had been getting most of their food from human farms, and now those shipments had stopped. Valorian warriors who had demanded the harshest rules for humans were now begging for emergency food supplies. The Crystalline Collective, beings who could think faster than any other race, had been running calculations for days. Their speaker, a tall crystal being that glowed with internal light, stood up to share the results. The economic damage is worse than we first calculated, the crystal being said. Its voice was like music, but the words were terrifying. Human. Agricultural output provided food for 38% of Outer Rim colonies. Human mining operations supplied 42% of rare minerals across 17 sectors. Human transport companies carried 61% of all trade goods between Council worlds. The chamber fell silent. These numbers meant the galaxy's economy was about to collapse. Veltar felt a cold fear growing in her chest. That cannot be right. Humans are a tiny percentage of galactic population. Population does not equal economic importance, the crystalline being replied. Humans have been more productive than any other race. They work harder, think faster, and adapt better to difficult conditions. The Vex leader, a giant insect with too many eyes, clicked its mouth parts nervously. What about our military? Surely we can force them back into compliance. Admiral Nexthara, the Zephyrian commander who had fled from human space, stood up, slowly. His energy form flickered with fear. Respected council members, I must report that human military capability has been greatly underestimated. He told them about the probe that had simply vanished, about human ships that could hide in plain sight, about weapons that could tear holes in space itself. With each word, the fear in the chamber grew thicker. Impossible, said the hegemony representative. Our intelligence reports show humans using primitive plasma weapons and basic metal ships. That intelligence is 3 years old, Nexthara replied. The humans have been hiding their true capabilities. What we saw yesterday was technology beyond anything in Council databases. On Earth, General Nick Carter was reading similar reports, with grim satisfaction. His spy satellites were watching Council worlds across the galaxy, and the news was exactly what he had hoped for. Colony ship departures are up 300%, reported Colonel Kate Roberts. Looks like the Council races are starting to panic. Nick nodded as he looked at the data streaming across his computer screen. 17 Council worlds were already experiencing food shortages. The Galactic Trade Union had suspended shipping to 43 routes because their captains were too afraid to travel near human space. Most importantly, human merchant vessels were coming home faster than expected. What about our people? Nick asked. 92% of human civilians have been recalled from Council space, Kate replied. The remaining 8% are in deep cover and will stay to monitor the situation. Those remaining humans were the key to Nick's plan. They looked like ordinary workers and traders, but they were actually Earth intelligence operatives. They would keep Earth informed about everything the Council was planning. Any signs that the Council is preparing for war? Nick asked. Kate smiled. They are trying to, but they have a problem. 68% of Council peacekeeping forces were human mercenaries. Without them, most Council worlds cannot maintain order. This was the part of the plan that Nick was most proud of. For 3 years, Earth had been quietly replacing alien soldiers with human ones in Council military units. The Council had been happy to let humans do their fighting for them. Now those same humans were coming home, leaving the Council defenseless. Back, on Nexus Prime, the Emergency Council session was getting more desperate by the hour. Trade Minister Zalkorth, a floating jellyfish-like creature, was reporting numbers that made everyone sick with fear. Shipping has dropped by 47%. In just 1 week, Zalkorth said, its tentacles waving with distress. Human transport companies carried more cargo than we realized. Without them, our supply lines are collapsing. What about using our own ships? Asked Veltar. We do not have enough, Zalkorth admitted. Human ships were cheaper and more reliable. Most Council races stopped building their own transport vessels decades ago. The room erupted in angry voices again. The Aquatic Federation blamed the Crystalline Collective for letting humans become so important. The Insectoid Empire accused the Zephyrians of failing to keep humans under control. Everyone had someone else to blame, but the facts remained the same. The galaxy needed humans more than humans needed the galaxy. Dr. Amy Foster was working in her secret laboratory, watching news reports from across Council space. Her quantum communication arrays were picking up emergency broadcasts that the Council thought were secure. The panic was spreading faster than anyone had expected. Dr. Foster, said her assistant Dr. Pete Rogers, we are getting reports that the Council is trying to reverse engineer our probe destroyer. Amy laughed. She had been wondering when they would try that. How is that working out for them? Not well. The Zephyrian research station Omega-7 suffered a complete containment failure. Their attempt to recreate quantum disruption technology resulted in a small black hole. Amy stopped laughing. A black hole was serious business, even a small one. Any casualties? The entire station, 3,000 researchers and support staff, Amy felt a moment of sadness for the alien scientists who had died, but they had brought it on themselves. Human technology was not something you could copy by looking at the parts. It required understanding principles that the Council races had never learned. Send a message to Earth Command, Amy ordered. Warn them that the Council might try more experiments. If they keep trying to copy our technology, they might accidentally destroy entire star systems. On the planet Hegemony Prime, the four-armed blue aliens who served as the Council's police force were dealing with their own crisis. Without human mercenaries to help them, they were losing control of their territory. 17 planets had declared independence in the past week alone. General Thipara, the Hegemony's top military commander, stood before a map of her crumbling empire. Red lights showed where rebellion was spreading. Yellow lights marked planets that were no longer responding to communications. Green lights representing loyal worlds were becoming rare. How did this happen so fast? She asked her aide. Human mercenaries were keeping order on most of our outer worlds, the aide replied. Without them, old grudges are coming back to life. The subject races are remembering that they have no reason to obey us. This was happening across the galaxy. The Council's power had depended on human soldiers to enforce their will, human traders to move their goods, human farmers to feed their people, human miners to dig their metals. Without humans, the great galactic civilization was falling apart like a house made of cards. Back in the Council chamber, Veltar was getting desperate. Every report was worse than the last. Food riots on 12 worlds, transport strikes on 38 planets, military rebellions in 6 sectors. We must negotiate with the humans, said the Crystalline Collective's speaker. Our calculations show that without them, our civilization will collapse within 6 months. No, Veltar shouted. We do not negotiate with rebels. We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled for 10,000 years. And we will rule for 10,000 more, said the Vex leader, but only if we find a way to bring the humans back. The room fell quiet as everyone realized the truth. The Great Galactic Council, masters of the galaxy, rulers of 1,000 worlds, were helpless without the humans they had tried to control. What do they want? Asked the Aquatic Federation representative. Complete independence, said the intelligence officer who had been monitoring human communications. No council oversight, no tribute payments, no population controls. They want to be left alone. Impossible, Veltar said. If we let humans govern themselves, other races will demand the same rights. Other races already are, the intelligence officer replied. 17 worlds have formally requested withdrawal from council authority. 43 more have stopped paying tribute. The hegemony has lost control of 6 sectors. The truth was spreading across the galaxy like wildfire. If humans could stand up to the council and win, maybe other races could too. The council's 10,000-year rule was cracking, and the cracks were getting bigger every day. In his command center on Earth, General Nick Carter watched the reports with cold satisfaction. Phase 1 of Operation Independence was complete. Humans had withdrawn from council space. Phase 2 was working perfectly. The council economy was collapsing. Phase 3 would begin soon. General, said Colonel Kate Roberts, we are receiving desperate communication requests from 17 Council. The first refugee ships appeared at the edge of human space 3 weeks after Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council. Admiral Ryan Cooper watched them from the bridge of the defense station Guardian's Watch. Hundreds of alien vessels drifted. Just outside the border, their crews desperate and confused. These were not military ships. They were civilian transports, cargo haulers, and colony ships filled with ordinary aliens whose worlds were falling apart. The proud races that had demanded harsh controls on human expansion were now begging for permission to enter human space. Admiral, said Communications Officer Lisa Bell, we are receiving over 300 requests for emergency asylum. The Valorian Empire alone has sent 47 ships. Ryan looked at the display screen showing the refugee fleet. Just 3 weeks ago, these same Valorians had been some of the loudest voices demanding human population controls. Their representatives had called humans a dangerous breeding species that needed to be contained. Now their own people were fleeing starvation on their homeworlds. "What is our current policy on Council refugees?" Ryan asked. "According to Earth Command, we provide basic humanitarian aid, but no permanent sanctuary. All Council citizens are to be treated as foreign nationals from hostile governments." Ryan nodded. The orders were clear, but looking at all those ships full of scared families made him feel uncomfortable. Still, Earth had to be firm. Any sign of weakness would be seen as an invitation for the Council to try again. "Open a channel to the refugee fleet," Ryan ordered. His face appeared on the communication screens of every ship waiting at the border. Ryan could see the hope in their alien eyes as they waited for his words. "Attention refugee vessels. You are requesting entry to United Earth Federation space. Under current diplomatic conditions, we cannot grant permanent asylum to citizens of Galactic Council member states. However, Earth will provide temporary humanitarian aid." The disappointment was visible on every alien face, but Ryan continued with the part that might give them real hope. "Any individual or group that formally renounces their citizenship in Council member states and requests political asylum in Earth space will be considered on a case-by-case basis. We are particularly interested in applications from skilled workers, scientists and others who can contribute to human society." The effect was immediate. Within hours, thousands of aliens were filing formal requests to abandon their old lives and join human civilization. Engineers from the Crystalline Collective, doctors from the Aquatic Federation, even some Valorian, warriors who had grown tired of serving an empire that could not feed its own people. But the most important refugees were not ordinary citizens. They were the Council's own intelligence agents, researchers, and military officers. People who knew exactly how bad things had become in Council space. Dr. Sam Parker ran Earth's deep space monitoring program from a secret facility hidden in the asteroid belt. His job was to watch the galaxy and report on anything that might threaten Earth. 3 weeks after the withdrawal, his monitors detected something that changed everything. "This cannot be right," Sam muttered as he looked at the energy readings from the Zephyrian research station. He called up the data again, hoping he had made a mistake. The readings were still there. Sam immediately contacted Earth Command. "General Carter, we have a priority situation. The Council races are trying to reverse engineer our technology." General Nick Carter was in his office reviewing refugee applications when Sam's call came through. "How bad is it, Doctor?" "Very bad, sir. The Zephyrians have destroyed 3 research stations trying to copy our quantum disruptors. The Crystalline Collective has lost an entire colony world to a failed gravity weapon experiment. And the hegemony military is trying to build stealth generators based on our ship designs." Nick felt cold fear running down his spine. "Are they having any success?" "No, sir. That is the problem. Every attempt fails catastrophically. They understand the science we used 50 years ago, but our current technology is based on principles they have never learned. When they try to copy it, without understanding it, the results are deadly." Nick was quiet for a moment, thinking about the implications. "How many casualties so far?" "At least 50,000 dead across 7 research facilities. If they keep trying, they could accidentally destroy entire star systems." This was a nightmare scenario that Nick had not planned for. Earth wanted to defeat the Council, not watch them blow themselves up trying to copy human weapons. "Send a message to all Council governments," Nick ordered. "Warn them that attempting to reverse engineer our technology is extremely dangerous. Offer to provide basic safety protocols to prevent further disasters." "Sir," Sam said carefully, "providing any technical information could be seen as a sign of weakness. Doctor, if the Council accidentally creates a black hole in a populated system, millions of innocent people will die. We are not monsters. Send the warning." On the planet Nexus Prime, Chancellor Veltar received Earth's warning message with a mixture of anger and fear. The humans were telling the Council to stop trying to understand their technology. It felt like an insult from a teacher to a stupid student. But the casualty reports were impossible to ignore. The loss of Zephyrian Research Station Omega-7 had shocked the entire galaxy. 3,000 of the brightest scientific minds in the Council had died instantly, when their attempt to recreate quantum disruption technology had gone wrong. "Read the human message again," Veltar ordered her aide. The nervous tree-like creature activated the holographic display. Ambassador Jake Morrison's face appeared, looking calm and professional as always. "To the leadership of the Galactic Council," Jake's recorded image said, "Earth has become aware of attempts to reverse engineer human military technology. We must warn you that this technology is based on scientific principles that require extensive safety protocols. Attempts to replicate our weapons without proper understanding have resulted in catastrophic failures." Jake's image paused, and his expression became more serious. "Earth is willing to provide basic safety information to prevent further loss of life. However, we cannot share the underlying technology itself. We strongly advise all Council research facilities to cease their current projects before more lives are lost." Veltar turned off the display and looked at her science advisor, a floating crystal being from the collective. "What is your assessment?" "Humans are correct," the crystal being admitted reluctantly. "Our research teams are working with incomplete information. We can see what their weapons do, but we do not understand how they work. It is like trying to build a starship after only seeing it fly. So we cannot defend ourselves against their technology? Not with our current scientific knowledge. The humans have advanced far beyond us in several key areas: quantum manipulation, gravity control, faster-than-light communication. They have developed an entirely new branch of physics while we were focused on controlling existing technology." This was the revelation that terrified the Council more than anything else. For 10,000 years they had maintained power by controlling technology. They decided which races could have advanced weapons, faster ships, or better communications. But humans had simply invented completely new technology that the Council could not understand or control. Back on Earth, President Chris Evans was meeting with his top advisors to discuss the refugee crisis. The number of aliens requesting asylum was growing every day, and Earth had to decide how to handle them. "How many applications have we received?" Chris asked. "Over 50,000 in the past week," replied Secretary of State Helen Martinez. "Most are ordinary citizens fleeing economic collapse, but we have also received applications from some very interesting people." "Such as?" "Dr. Ketharn from the Crystalline Collective. He is one of their top experts on space-time physics. General Mordak from the Hegemony Military. She commands their special forces and has detailed knowledge of Council military capabilities. And Professor Zillith from the Aquatic Federation. She developed most of their biological warfare defenses." Chris was quiet for a moment. These were not ordinary refugees. They were some of the most valuable people in the galaxy, and they wanted to join human civilization. "What are they offering in exchange for asylum?" "Complete intelligence on Council military capabilities, scientific databases, and industrial processes. Dr. Ketharn alone has offered to share the location of 17 secret Council weapons research facilities." Chris smiled. The Council's greatest assets were abandoning them to join Earth. "Accept all applications from anyone with advanced scientific or military knowledge. Set up secure facilities where they can be debriefed safely." The defection of top Council scientists and military officers was accelerating the collapse. Every refugee who joined Earth brought valuable intelligence about Council weaknesses. More importantly, they took their knowledge away from the Council, making it even harder for the alien government to respond to the crisis. Admiral Ryan Cooper was reading intelligence reports when Communications Officer Lisa Bell brought him urgent news. "Admiral, we are receiving a priority communication from the Galactic Council. They are requesting immediate negotiations." Ryan looked up from his reports. "What kind of negotiations?" "They want to discuss terms for renewed diplomatic relations." The message came directly from Chancellor Veltar herself. Ryan almost laughed. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal from the Galactic Council, the galaxy looked nothing like it had before. Chancellor Veltar stood in what used to be the most powerful government building in known space. Now the council chamber was nearly empty. Most alien races had either withdrawn their representatives or stopped sending them entirely. The great crystal dome that had once echoed with the voices of 47 species now held only 12 delegates. The rest had gone home to deal with rebellions, economic collapse, or civil wars. The 10,000-year reign of the Galactic Council was ending not with a battle but with a whimper. "Report on the current situation." Veltar ordered her aide, though she already knew it would be bad news. The nervous, tree-like creature shuffled through its data files. 31 member species have formally withdrawn from Council authority. 14 more have stopped responding to communications. Only 12 species remain in active membership. Veltar felt each word like a physical blow. What about our military response? The task force sent to blockade human space has withdrawn after suffering significant casualties. Admiral Nexthara reports that human defensive capabilities are beyond our current ability to counter. The blockade had been the Council's last attempt to force humanity back into compliance. 300 ships from 6 different species had surrounded human space, demanding that Earth surrender or face military action. The humans had responded by demonstrating their new gravitational weapons on a nearby asteroid. The asteroid had simply been crushed out of existence, compressed into a ball of matter so dense that it created its own gravity field. The Council fleet had retreated immediately, unwilling to face weapons that could turn their ships into compact balls of metal. Any word from our intelligence networks? Most of our agents in human space have either been captured or have defected to Earth. The humans seem to know everything we are planning before we decide to do it. Veltar was not surprised. Hundreds of the galaxy's best scientists, military officers, and intelligence agents had abandoned their home governments to seek asylum with humanity. They were bringing their knowledge with them, making Earth stronger, while leaving the Council weaker. On Earth, President Chris Evans signed the document that would change galactic history forever. The new Galactic Compact was simple, direct, and revolutionary. Any species that wanted to participate in galactic civilization could do so, but only under new rules. No race could force tribute from another race. No government could restrict the technology available to other species. No empire could claim exclusive control over trade routes or star systems. Most importantly, every species had the right to govern itself without outside interference. How many governments have agreed to sign the compact? Chris asked Secretary of State Helen Martinez. 43 so far, Helen replied with a smile, including some former council species who have overthrown their old governments. The Valorian Empire is now the Valorian Republic. The hegemony has broken apart into 6 independent worlds. Even some crystalline collective colonies have declared independence. Chris nodded as he looked at the list of signatory species. Most were former council subjects who had spent centuries under alien rule. The compact offered them something the council never had: freedom. What about the military situation? Admiral Cooper reports that our defense fleet is now up to full strength. Dr. Foster's new weapon systems are online across all major installations. If the remaining council forces try to attack us, they will face technology they cannot hope to match. But Chris hoped it would not come to that. The goal had never been to destroy the council races, just to free the galaxy from their control. If they could learn to coexist peacefully, everyone would benefit. Dr. Amy Foster was in her laboratory putting the finishing touches on humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. For 6 months, her teams had been working to create simplified versions of human technology that other species could understand and use safely. "Are the educational programs ready?" Amy asked Dr. Pete Rogers. "All set," Pete replied. "Basic quantum physics, gravitational manipulation, faster-than-light communication, and sustainable energy generation. Everything packaged in formats that different species can understand." Amy smiled as she looked at the data storage devices that would soon be distributed across the galaxy. While the Council had hoarded technology for thousands of years, humanity was about to give it away for free. Any species that signs the compact gets full access to our scientific databases? That's the plan. No restrictions, no licensing fees, no political conditions. Just free access to technology that will advance their civilization by centuries. This was the part of the plan that Amy was most proud of. Instead of using their technological advantage to dominate other races, humans were sharing it freely. It was the opposite of everything the Council stood for. On the planet Valorian Prime, former General Thipara looked out at the celebration in the streets below. 3 days ago, the Valorian people had overthrown their imperial government and declared themselves a republic. Today, they were signing the new Galactic Compact. Strange to think it all started with humans walking away from a meeting, said her aide, Captain Rex Allen. Thipara nodded. She had been one of the military officers demanding harsh controls on human expansion. Now she was leading the new Valorian government that owed its freedom to human inspiration. The humans showed us something we had forgotten, she said. That no one has to accept being ruled by others, that any race can choose its own path. The celebration below was not just about independence. Valorian scientists had just received the first batch of human technology transfers. Faster-than-light communication meant that distant Valorian colonies could stay in contact with their homeworld. New farming techniques would end the food shortages that had plagued their empire for decades. What about the old council loyalists? Rex Allen asked. Most have accepted the new government. A few die-hard imperialists have fled to the remaining council worlds. Let them go. We have more important things to worry about than the past. In his command center on Earth, General Nick Carter was monitoring the peaceful revolution spreading across the galaxy. Species after species was overthrowing their old governments and joining the new galactic community that humanity had created. Status report on former council worlds, Nick requested. Colonel Kate Roberts pulled up the latest intelligence data. 47 former council species have signed the compact. 31 have established new democratic governments. 16 are still transitioning from their old imperial systems. Only 12 species remain loyal to the original council. Nick looked at the map showing the new galactic order. Green lights marked worlds that had joined the compact. Yellow lights showed worlds still in transition. Red lights represented the few remaining council loyalists. The red lights were scattered and isolated, surrounded by green. Any military threats? The remaining council forces have consolidated around Nexus Prime. They have about 200 ships total, mostly older vessels. Our intelligence suggests they are planning some kind of final strike against Earth. Nick was not worried about a conventional attack. Human defensive systems could handle anything the Council could throw at them. But desperate people sometimes did unpredictable things. Keep monitoring them. If they try anything stupid, we need to be ready to respond quickly. Ambassador Jake Morrison stood in the observation deck of Unity Station, the new diplomatic center that humanity had built at the edge of their space. Through the transparent windows, he could see ships from dozens of species arriving for the first meeting of the new Galactic Assembly. Unlike the old council chamber on Nexus Prime, Unity Station was designed for cooperation, not domination. Every species had equal representation. Every voice would be heard. Decisions would be made by consensus, not by the commands of powerful empires. Quite a change from the last galactic meeting you attended, said Dr. Sam Parker, who had come to watch the historic gathering. Jake smiled as he remembered his final appearance before the council 6 months ago. Back then I was delivering an ultimatum to people who thought they owned the galaxy. Today we are welcoming partners who want to build something better. The first ship to dock was a former council vessel that had been repainted in the bright colors of the new Hegemony Republic. Its crew included both former Imperial officers and rebel leaders who had fought against Hegemony rule for decades. Now they were working together to build a democratic government. "Any word from the remaining council holdouts?" Sam asked. "Chancellor Veltar sent a message yesterday. She wants to negotiate terms for the council's surrender." "Surrender?" Jake nodded. "That is what it amounts to. The council has lost too much to continue governing. They are asking for our help in transitioning their remaining worlds to the new system." This was the outcome Jake had hoped for from the beginning. Not the destruction of the council races, but their peaceful integration into a better galactic civilization. Even the species that had opposed humanity most strongly could find a place in the new order. "What did you tell her?" "That Earth is willing to help, but only if they dissolve the council completely and